going on, ladies and gents? Robert Sykes, KetoSavage.com, and welcome to the Week 2 recap of the reverse diet. So, a lot of things have changed in the past 2 weeks since the competition prep finale show day. I want to dive into those with you right now. First of all, let's talk about the fact that we are increasing calories. As I mentioned in the prior video, we've increased protein up to about a 1-to-1 with lean mass, which is why I'm now at about 150 to 155 grams of protein a day. Because of that, my overall fat ratio has decreased. My overall in calories have increased. My protein ratio has increased. I'm now at about 2,160 calories, I do believe. And because of that, my metabolism is starting to ramp up a little bit. However, since my fat ratio has decreased because of that increase in protein, my satiety has also decreased. So it's funny because you would think that as you increase calories, your satiety is ramped up. You feel more full. Not necessarily the case at all. Once you start increasing calories and your metabolism starts ramping up, then your NEAT activity, so your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, starts increasing. So you're burning more calories, your metabolism's ramped up, your energy's higher, you don't have the stress and the burden and the anxiety of a competition looming, so you just find yourself doing more things and just feeling better overall, and you actually increase in hunger. I've been just like starving lately, to be honest. Not unbearably so, but I've definitely seen an increase in hunger. So I'm definitely excited for the refeeds when they hit. By the end of the week of just hitting my planned macros with the prepped meals, I can feel like I'm starting to lag a little bit. Like I feel like I did towards the end of the contest prep almost, because I can tell that even though I'm increasing my overall calories, because of that resulting increase in metabolism, my net caloric, there is no surplus yet. Like I'm not in a caloric surplus. So I'm still feeling hungry. I'm still feeling the desire to eat, which I definitely do on the refeeds. Now, what's interesting is you would expect to see a pretty significant increase in weight, generally speaking, under most dietary protocols post-competition. Because of this ketogenic protocol, because of this ketogenic reverse diet, you don't really see that, which is a huge, huge plus. You're able to have a much healthier transition out of a caloric deficit. What I did not expect to see was a drop in weight. So I typically have my 2 consecutive refeeds on Friday and Saturday. On Friday morning, when I woke up, prior to having any of those extra calories, I noticed that my scale weight was 164.8, if I remember correctly. That is about 2 pounds less than what it was on show day. So here I am virtually 2 weeks post-show, and I'm about 2 pounds down from what I was on show day. Now, the overall lowest weight I got during this entire contest prep was 163 something. So I haven't reached my lowest weight yet, but the fact that I'm 2 weeks post-show and am pretty much right around there at a lower weight than I was on show day itself is pretty impressive. That just really illustrates that even though I'm increasing calories, my overall metabolism is ramped up. I'm still losing body fat. Now, I don't look as primed and peaked as I did on show day because I'm not really adhering to the sodium manipulations and just keeping things as tight because I am in a reverse diet. But being that light on Friday morning gave me confidence in knowing that, hey, look, I'm not overdoing it. I'm not going off the rails with regard to my calories. So I can afford to be a little bit more aggressive with the increase in calories than I had originally planned. So I was thinking of doing a slight fat increase on Tuesday, which would be about the halfway point between refeeds. Main reason being is I could tell that my hunger was a little higher. I could tell that I was still having difficulty sleeping because I didn't have that dietary fat which I normally crave, and I could tell my energy was down because my fat ratio was so low. However, after seeing my scale weight drop like that, I'm like, you know what? Rather than having that Tuesday of higher dietary fat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a much more aggressive refeed on Friday and Saturday. So rather than having the prepped meals and then the date night and then another day of preparing my own food, but adhering to a very strict caloric intake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the prepped meals with that date night as I had planned originally, but then on the other day I'm going to have basically an ad-lib day where I just eat until satiety. However, when I do an ad-lib day this close post-show, because I recognize that my hormones are still out of whack. I recognize that it's not really a perfect scenario for eating ad lib. I like to keep it pretty clean and within boundaries. So what I did was I did like basically a meat and bricks style ad lib. So by eating just meat and keto bricks, I was able to keep that ad lib calorie intake pretty clean and not have to worry about just going off the rails, eating a bunch of, super hyper palatable foods like keto desserts and stuff like that. So if you're going to eat ad lib, which I wouldn't really recommend doing unless you see a drop in the scale weight or a very conservative increase in the scale weight, then make sure it's coming from clean sources. So that said, I kind of want to dive into some posing footage here. You can see what I'm looking like. This footage was taken this morning, so the Monday after the 2-week mark, and this is post both those refeeds. And honestly, both those refeed days, I was hitting about 6,000 calories. So on Friday and Saturday, I consumed about 6,000 calories worth of food each day, 12,000 calories total. When you average that out with the rest of the food that I'm eating throughout the week, I'm averaging at about 3,100 to 3,000 calories a day over the course of this week's reverse diet. However, since 2 of those days, were consecutive, my body's basically burned through the food that I've consumed then by the end of the week. So it's not like a one-to-one trade-off, if that makes any sense at all. So by having that massive increase on the weekend, Friday and Saturday, I'm able to kind of reset that psychological shift and then give my body ample time at that much lower caloric intake of the 2,100. So I'm kind of in a heightened fat burning state while still ramping up metabolism, which I've found to work very, very well. So without further ado, let's jump into this posing footage, kind of give you a visual of what I'm looking like now. All right, so as you can see, the farther I get away from the show day, the whiter my skin gets. No more tanning, which kind of has a negative effect on bringing out all the definition, but you just have to bear with it here because I'm not going to do any tanning right now. So you can see going through the symmetry rounds here, I still have a lot of striations in the quads, especially. You can definitely tell that the food from those 2 massive refeed days is sitting a little bit heavier on my gut. I've got a little bit more bloat in the gut there. But as far as like actual musculature definition in like the quads, the hamstrings, the biceps, the triceps, I don't feel like I've lost anything there. I just have a little bit more bloat in the midsection. You can also tell that I'm holding a little bit more water. Since I am in a reverse diet, I'm not having to be super, super strict with my sodium intake on those caloric refeed days. I'm not really tracking my sodium, and as a result of that, the equilibrium between my water, sodium, potassium may be a little bit off, which is going to cause a little bit of water retention. So not really worried about that because, if I wanted to manipulate that, I easily could, but there's not really any need to. But I'm still pretty pleased with how I'm looking from a compositional and definition standpoint 2 weeks post-show here. Now, one thing I do want to touch on is when you start doing a reverse diet and you're eating more calories, especially if you involve massive caloric refeed days like I have because my body's been able to tolerate it well, you have to expect a much lower blood ketone reading. Like, you don't have to test ketones by any means. Go off of how your body feels and how you perform. But just out of curiosity, I've been testing my ketones. I've been testing my glucose. I have a CGM on as well. My glucose has stayed consistent. It's been consistently between like the 70 and the 85 milligram per deciliter count. After a workout and mid-workout, it obviously spikes a little bit. But my glucose has been consistent, even on the refeed days, which is key. I put a lot of emphasis on tracking glucose, honestly more so than ketones, because I want to make sure that stays stable. However, since I've increased my calories so drastically on those refeed days, I've experienced a significant dip in ketones. Like, there's a couple of days where I even woke up and it was registering, low 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, nothing near what it was going into the tail end of my competition prep when it was consistently 2.5, 3. There was a couple days where it was even 4 millimolar. Now, does this concern me? No, and here's why. For one, I know that I'm not eating carbs. I know that I'm not eating a bunch of keto desserts. I'll have like a few things here and there. My trace carbs may be a little bit higher on the refeed days, but they're very, very low throughout the rest of the week. I know that I'm not eating carbs. I know that I'm not breaching, ketogenic diet, ketogenic protocol, strict ketogenic protocol. My energy is still solid. I still feel great. So this doesn't mean I'm not keto adapted. It doesn't mean I'm not fat adapted. Simply having lower blood ketones is going to be a result of eating that much more food. From an evolutionary perspective, the ketogenic diet is designed to give your body fuel in times of scarce food intake. I have not been at a scarce food intake during those refeed days. I mean, 6,000 calories each day, that's a lot of food. So because my calories have been so high, it's totally normal to expect and see a significant drop in blood ketones. But again, that does not mean I'm any less fat adapted. It doesn't mean I'm any less ketotic. It just means that food is no longer scarce coming off those refeed days, and I can't expect to see high ketone numbers. So I'm not really worried about that whatsoever. Now, I'm going to talk about training next week because there's a couple nuances that I think are relevant to you, especially coming out of a reverse diet that pertains to training, cardio, and weightlifting. So I'm going to talk about that next week for week 3. But I'm going to call that good for this week's video. I've got the vlog footage of the refeeds coming up next, so enjoy that if you like, and I'll see you next week. What's going on, y'all, and welcome to the vlog. This is the reverse diet week 2 refeed section. So let's talk about what we got going on here. I woke up, as I said earlier, my lightest weight in the reverse diet is 164.8. Is that right? 164.8 today, which is less than I weighed on show day, which is pretty crazy. I think the lowest I got in the entire prep was 163 or something of that nature. So that into consideration, I'm going to eat a little bit more ad lib today. However, since today is not the free-for-all day, that would be tomorrow, I'm going to stick to a pretty structured meat and brick only protocol. So I've got my brick. Today I've got the peanut butter brick, and then I've got brisket on the grill. We're doing a cookout with the crew in celebration of the launch this week. But check this out. I've also got some beef ribs. So that's what I've got going on right now for this portion of the refeed. I just got done working out and running, and about to dive in. So I'll see you after a while. All right, y'all, as I mentioned, today I'm going to be eating a little bit more ad lib. I had the keto brick. I had those ribs. There's honestly not much meat on those ribs. I was kind of surprised at how little meat was on those ribs. So I increased my intake a little bit. I'm eating some of this. These are freeze-dried ribeye bites that my buddy hooked me up with for a hunting trip I had. Basically the same macros as a ribeye. I had basically one whole ribeye worth of intake. The nice thing about this is because it's all the moisture's been sucked out of it, I was able to get all that nutrient density in without all the water weight. So I was able to increase my calories. I just felt this massive rush of energy after eating this, and I felt pretty amazing. I feel pretty great right now. There's another about 2 or 3 hours left on the brisket, and then I'm going to take that off the smoker and show you what we're working with there. Oh, I also had a can of sardines packaged in olive oil. So full transparency there. All right, y'all, the brisket is done. I'm going to wrap it up, let it sit in the ice chest to rest for a little bit. But look at this beauty. Ooh, doggies. That's what I am talking about.
Terrible throw. He's got the throw.
Alright, so we got ribs to start with here. So grass-fed beef ribs. Let's put that over there.
Okay. What are you guys gonna eat? Yeah, this is mine. Thanks. Don't eat a plate.
Here.
It's good. This is mine. It does have the bone. Okay.
That's
All right.
nutritious part.
Here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Wait for it. Woo! Honey, hush. Slap your mama. We don't have a full-size knife, though, so we're just going to have to roll with
Oh,
it.
am I gonna film you cutting it?
We'll all take turns just
my
biting
gosh.
into it.
Don't even need a knife.
Butter knife.
Wow.
We have plates. Piece right there.
Looks like a
Beautiful.
stop sandwich.
What's going on, y'all? It's the next day. By the way, I finished off last night with one more keto brick. I probably hit about, I don't know, somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 calories yesterday, all coming from meat and brick sources. So quite a lot of food for ad lib, but I felt pretty good. And today I woke up only a few pounds heavier, which is totally to be expected. A lot of that from water retention. So not really tripping there. Today we're gonna have breakfast that Crystal's gonna cook up. We'll show you that. We're gonna go on our date night tonight. We'll show you that. But we wanted to make a quick little announcement because we've been getting not a lot, but some feedback. So as you saw yesterday, we had the little cookout with the crew. We ate the brisket. We threw the ball around. Don't trip out about that. We have a 7-person team,
Including us.
Including us. We're following all the Arkansas state mandate, all the national mandates. We're doing everything. We're listening to the briefings. We're doing everything we possibly can to adhere to social distancing rules. Depending on what the job task is in the kitchen, you know, we have gloves on with everything. We have masks on. We're doing everything right, okay? We are doing everything right. I've been getting all this flack about how we're going to kill the world because we're spending time with our crew who we see on a normal day-to-day basis anyways, and we're less than that 10-person threshold. So
I also think it's important to spend time with the people that you've already been around anyways. Like, the social distancing is really great, but if you're already at your job, if you're already with all of these people, like, people need social interaction outside of the workplace, outside of all of the stress. So
that's going to help your immune system as well,
yeah.
You know?
So we see these people every single day. Most of the job tasks actually cause us to work further than 6 feet away from each other anyways. But even at the park, we were all spread out, throwing the ball back and forth and whatever. But yeah, we just want to make sure that we're clear on that we are following all the right rules.
Public service announcement. Keto Savage, Lady Savage, the Keto Brick crew, we are all adhering to the proper medical recommendations, so stop bothering us. All right, y'all, just got done with the run. I always have like good meditation time when I'm running, and I want to make a point painstakingly clear real quick. This whole virus thing is obviously a big deal. We're all affected by it. We're all impacted by it, some more so than others. Some people more insulated, you know, but we have all been touched by it. I don't ever want anything I say on these vlogs to come across as not taking it seriously. I'm absolutely taking it seriously. But here's my thing. You know, we can only control what we can control. I see so many people just taking this thing and turning it into a massive negative, and it's obviously not a good thing. Like, I don't like seeing people lose their lives to a virus. But I'm amazed and have been amazed at how so many people make this such a negative. Got a helicopter flying over right now. You have control of your attitude. You have complete control of how you handle the situation that's dealt with you. You cannot necessarily pick the hand of cards that you are dealt, but you can make the most of that hand. I'm trying to do that to my best ability here as a husband, as a businessman, as a leader to my crew, as a content creator, and I encourage you all to do the same. One thing that I would hope and ask for as a result and outcome of all of this is that this makes us more aware of the blessings that we have in our life, the people who are there to support us, and the things that we truly stand for and believe in. I want this virus to bring us all closer together. I want us to all be more cognizant of the blessings we have and be grateful for those blessings. I'm very blessed to not have had a massive negative impact on the business thus far. Like, people still want the keto bricks, people still are willing to pay for the keto bricks, and I'm proud to say that we offer a shelf-stable bar that can fuel them during times of uncertainty. I'm proud of that. But I don't know what the next 1 month, much less 6 months, is going to bring. I mean, the business may totally collapse. We don't know. I'm going to make the most of the resources I have and be the best I can in light of the situation that is in front of us. I ask all y'all to do the same. I'm going to be as positive as I can throughout this entire thing, and I encourage you all to do the same. Let's all band together, rally together, and be the best that we can be as a human freaking race, as a ketogenic community, as people. Let's help each other. Let's be positive and stop the spread of negativity. The spread of negativity lately has spread far faster than any virus ever could. Let's stop that trend. Now, I'm gonna go get something to eat. Wonderful wife just made me for breakfast. So we got bacon, pork sausage, eggs, and then chaffles with butter and melted peanut butter keto bread. Such a good woman.
Try.
All right, y'all, so we're here at a couple different restaurants trying to figure out what we want to eat. We got a juicy seafood where we can get like some raw oysters and some crawfish, since it's crawfish season right now. Maybe some chicken wings, and then we have bonefish grill. I'm craving some kind of like fish, seafood, something of that nature, but I'm trying to find something that also has something that Crystal would like, because Crystal is a picky eater when it comes to fish.
I just told him like 500 times that I don't care where we eat because there's always something I can eat.
But this is a date, and I want her to enjoy herself, so we're going to find something good. We'll let you know what we find. So, we decided to break it up between two restaurants because there was two that we couldn't decide between. I got a salmon and some chicken. Or I got salmon, Crystal got chicken. And then I also got some crawfish. So I'm about to dig into this crawfish here and we'll see how this tastes. Should be good. Look at this bad boy. It's pretty hot. I gotta let it cool down a little bit. You pull the tail out. Good stuff.
Alright, we're a little cramped in here, so I'm just going to show you my food. This is my chicken. It is, it's chicken with goat cheese and spinach and artichoke hearts. That's Robert's tiny, tiny baby little salmon. And then I didn't want any of their sides, so I just got a gigantic salad as well. How's your fish, crawfish?
Crawfish is good. Very good. I got lemon pepper sauce, so totally keto. Alright, y'all, it is the next day, which means we are back on track. So I finished yesterday off with a little bit more ground beef. I even had a couple bites of Rebel ice cream, which is pretty good actually. It's got pretty clean ingredients. It has chicory root fiber in it, which is inulin, which I'm not a huge fan of, but a couple bites of that. That's pretty much what rounded out my refeed for yesterday. And now I'm back on the schedule, back on routine. So let's get after it, and I'll see you next week for week 3.